Welcome back to Elite. This is our second lecture of the weekly current affairs series, and this time and from now onwards I shall be giving you the material in this written form, because first of all it takes a lot of time to write manually, and that time I can invest in telling you more about what are the important aspects of the exam and how different kinds of things and facts they can be used in exam. I can pay more focus on those things, and also it will be easier for you to revise at a later date with such kind of material in hand. Now let's start with the quotes of the week. Actually, these are the two quotes which are in a way having similar essence. The first quote says, "The ballot is stronger than the bullet," and it is being told by Abraham Lincoln. It talks about the democracy, that the ballot, the elections, the democratic ethos, they can be much stronger. They can overturn the governments. They can overturn the rule. They can decide the kind of rule, the kind of society, the kind of nation. And the second quote is also related to democracy. Democracy is not law of the majority, but protection of the minority. It is actually talking about the inclusive development. That democracy is obviously participative kind of thing where everyone is participating, but majority is already included in that. It's not like in elections that majority voting parties, they come to power, but it's also about the protection of the minorities. It's not only about the people, the majority who have voted and who have voted a government to power, but it's more about minority, because democracy in itself is having the ethos of inclusiveness. So these kind of quotes can be used in the answers which are related to democracy and also in the essays. So these are important ones. Now let's first start with our similar scheme. We will be taking up GS 1, 2, 3 and the subsets within those larger sections. Let's first take GS 1. Here we are having geography in news in this week, and here this news is about a dam which is Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. It is also known as the Millennium Dam, and it is constructed on the Blue Nile. All these points which I am highlighting, these are important with respect to the exam, that it can be asked that what is the other name of this dam, or maybe they will not ask about this Grand Ethiopian dam. They may be asking about the Millennium Dam. Then things become difficult. Also, the river on which it is being built, and after completion it will be the Africa's largest hydroelectric project. Now let's zoom in to its location. Here it is. This is Ethiopia, and this is South Sudan, it's Sudan, and this is White Nile. It is getting connected with Blue Nile, and in Ethiopia here this Millennium Dam is, and we must be knowing the neighboring countries of Ethiopia. These are Sudan and South Sudan. These are sharing borders with Ethiopia, and we must be knowing a fact that this Ethiopia is not sharing coastline or its border with Red Sea. This much of mapping is enough for answering and for elimination of the options if asked from this very part. So let's catch up another news in geography. The term revenge travel or revenge tourism is in news. It is related to this term lockdown fatigue. We know all the people around the world, they have faced this lockdown situation, and what has happened that they are in a way they have lived a kind of monotonous life, a very boring and dull life, and now they want to get out of those shackles of this lockdown, and people are now traveling more and more, means above the average or above the normal which used to have been there, because now people are in a way, we can say, they are facing this fatigue of dullness, boring life, and this lockdown life. Now they are in a way trying to go for a revenge for we can say for the lockdown which they have faced, for all the time which they have spent in their homes. So this term has been given the name of this revenge tourism or revenge travel, because people are now moving out of their residences more and more than the normal when they normally used to come out, because it is a kind of revenge for this monotonous life of lockdown, and to counter this lockdown fatigue. So this term can be relevant, maybe asked. Now this was all about the GS1 section in this week. It was a short, we can say, short section this time. Not much relevant things were there with respect to GS1, but with respect to GS2 and 3 there were many things. So let's come to this. Now in GS2, let's first cover polity. In polity section, first we must be knowing about this news which is important with respect to the assistant registrar examination, which is soon going to be conducted by JKPSC. A new Ministry of Cooperation has been created for the cooperatives, for strengthening the cooperative movement in India, and for streamlining the processes, and in order to help people. It should be a true people-based movement reaching to the grassroots level. Means as we know that cooperative is a kind of aggregation of people where they come to serve not only their purpose but also for the overall community benefit, and the main motive is the community upliftment, community benefit. So this is something which is the need of the hour also this time, when we are facing this pandemic, and people are in requirement of this hand holding and cooperation. So this is a right time to do such things, to strengthen the cooperatives which are having a socialistic behavior. Although cooperatives concept is a kind of midway between capitalism and socialism, but the important thing for us with respect to exam is that Ministry of Cooperation has been created, and it has been created to provide separate administrative, legal and policy framework. Means policies will be made and its administration will be carried out, means policies will be made for the cooperatives, how cooperative movement has to be strengthened in the country, how impetus has to be given to cooperatives, and also this will be helping in ease of doing business, because cooperatives are, although they are for the community, but they are doing some economic work, so they are actually business enterprises, so it will be giving boost to ease of doing business, so good for economy. And also this Ministry of Cooperation will help in the development of multi-state cooperatives. MSCS means the cooperatives are usually not there at the pan-India basis due to lack of hand-holding from the government. So this initiative will be a good move towards such multi-state cooperatives, and means the cooperatives will no longer be restricted to a one state. There will be a kind of, like we say, multi-state or multinational kind of thing. So it will be a good initiative, so that things are being done at pan-India basis, rather than there is just this localized effect of any scheme, because this time we need cooperation at national level. Now the second important news is with respect to Central Information Commission. We all know that it is related to Right to Information Act, RTI 2005. RTI was enacted in 2005, and whosoever has read this act, they may be knowing that there is a Central Information Commission. Let me tell you, if you have not read this RTI Act, there is actually, let me just draw it. In each department there is an officer who is responsible for carrying out the RTI activities, means you can go and file the complaint to this person. If he is not being able to address your problem, then you can go to this CIC. Central Information Commission. First, you cannot directly go there. First there is State Information Commission, then there is this Central Information Commission. SIC is there, and if SIC is not being able to resolve, then you can move to CIC. Here they will actually, what is its purpose, let's say its powers and functions. This commission will receive and inquire into complaints from any person regarding information under RTI Act, and the commission can order an inquiry into any matter if there are reasonable grounds. And one important thing which we must be knowing about the RTI and this CIC is that they have suo motu power. This can be asked in the objectives, that are they having suo motu power or not. Suo motu power means they can themselves plunge into a case and they can themselves inquire. It's not necessary that someone is coming to them and then they are inquiring. They can have this suo motu power as well. And one more important thing, that they are having the power of civil court, not criminal court, civil court. These things are actually being asked in the examination, and civil court means they will be dealing with civil offenses, and they can do this thing. They can summon a person, they can demand for document, because these things come under the civil offense jurisdiction, means the things related to RTI, so they are having power of a civil court. Now coming to members, which is important, there is one Central Information Commissioner and not more than 10 information commissioners. One CIC is there and not more than 10, means maximum of 10. This is important, and this is also important, means appointment. They are appointed by president. This can be asked, and on the recommendation of the committee, which is consisting of prime minister as a chairperson, leader of the single largest opposition party, means leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha, not in Rajya Sabha, and a union cabinet minister nominated by prime minister. So first, what will happen? This is a committee. Here is prime minister, then there is leader of opposition, then there is one more cabinet minister who has been selected on the recommendation of prime minister, and this committee will give recommendation to president, and president will then appoint this CIC, and the tenure, with respect to the tenure, the CIC and the information commissioners, they shall hold office for such time or for such term as is prescribed by the central government, and or until the age of 65, whichever is earlier. We must be knowing that this amendment was done last year. Earlier there was a fixed tenure and the fixed payment, but then government did this amendment that now it will be up to government that they can decide the tenure and also the salary pay scale. And this was one of the controversial issues also, which got highlighted, but we must be knowing only these things with respect to the examination, prelims, especially the appointment, members, tenure, powers, and what all CIC is, and CIC is related to which act. This much is enough. Now let's come to another news, which is about tele law program. Tele means like there is telemedicine. Tele means from the remote location you are connecting with some people and helping them out, and it can be anything. Like I said, in this telemedicine program, what is happening that doctors are directly interacting with the patients and prescribing them the medicines, and these are satellite based program, means internet is used, or the various satellite communication systems. Likewise, this there is this tele law program which has been launched by the Ministry of Law and Justice in collaboration with Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, MIT. This thing is quite logical that it is a law program, so Ministry of Law and Justice will be involved, and if it is a tele law program, that means MIT will be involved as it is related to technology. So this way ministries can be remembered, and these ministries are asked in the examination. Means see, my job is to not just tell you the news, but also how this news can be asked, how this information can be used. So that's why I will keep on telling you that how is this fact relevant with respect to exam and how this can be asked. And here ministries are asked, so this thing becomes important, and this was launched in 2007. This becomes important. One more thing which becomes important is that pre-litigation stage. Means what they are doing is, pre-litigation means before filing a case in the court. Litigation means you are filing a case in the court, that is known as litigation. But the pre-litigation stage is very important, as we know there is a weaker section in our society, and that weaker section comprises of various people. They don't know where to go, whom to consult, and all such things which are actually very much there for the people who can afford good lawyers. So for these, for these people, this pre-litigation help is there in the form of tele-law program. Means you can consult lawyers and they will give you legal advice through telephone or through online video conferencing, that what you need to do, how is your case, and how you should proceed. Means they will help you in filing the case, they will tell you the procedure, and they will help you out in various other ways. But it is important that this tele-law program is for pre-litigation thing. Then there are other aspects. Means during litigation and post-litigation there are other provisions there, and there is free legal services aid. That is another thing. There is also an act, and there is this free legal aid as per the section 12 of the Legal Service Authorities Act. I was talking about this act. This Legal Service Authorities Act is there, which is providing free legal aid. It is having provision, and there is actually a whole list, and UPSC asked question about that as well last year, that who all are the eligible beneficiaries under that. And what happens that there is there is, as per this act, what has been done, there is first this thing. This is NALSA, National Legal Services Authority. Then at the state level there is SALSA, this State Legal Services Authority. Then there are also various bodies as per this act at the district level, and they are having their own. Means the state legal service authority and these things at the district level, they will be having their own powers, and we need not to go into those, but they are having different powers as per this act. But the main motive of all these bodies which have been created as per this Legal Services Authorities Act, that is to provide free legal aid to people. And legal aid can be pre-litigation, during litigation, and post-litigation. And this is actually, as per this free legal aid thing, this is a program that they are providing you online help through at this pre-litigation stage, and during this litigation and in the post-litigation stage, they are also helping you out as per this free legal aid, which is under this Legal Service Authorities Act. Okay, now let's come to our next news, which is also important, and it is related to the Jammu and Kashmir Delimitation Commission. Delimitation Commission is actually a commission which is actually there to decide the number and the size of the constituencies for the elections. They can be Lok Sabha and they can be the local elections, and this Delimitation Commission is also known as Boundary Commission. Here it is, and it is highly powerful commission, and it is so powerful that its orders have the force of law and they cannot be challenged in any court. So this is the objective which can be asked. Means they can be asked in the MCQs, that their work is not challenged in the court of law. And what they do, they delimit the constituencies. They form, say there is this area. Now they will make different constituencies, in this whole area as per the population, means the whole ratio of the population in each constituency is same. That is a different topic, and that is a very detailed topic, so we will not dig in that, but this much should be known that its main aim is to create constituencies for the election, so that people will vote in their own constituency for the candidates, and this way elections can be held and completed. Let's go to the history of delimitation in J&K, and these things can be asked. Where is it? Yeah, here it is. The first Delimitation Commission carving out 25 assembly constituencies in the then state was carved out by the Delimitation Commission in 1951. Means this can be asked that the first Delimitation Commission carved out the exercise of constituencies creation in 1951, and how many constituencies were there? 25. And now what is the situation? Then what happened? Then this was just a delimitation exercise which was carried by Delimitation Committee, not the Commission. This must be remembered. But the first full-fledged Delimitation Commission was formed in 1981. Means the first Delimitation Commission was formed in 1981, not in 1951. That was just committee. These things can be asked to confuse in the examination, and it submitted its recommendation in 1995 on the basis of 1981 census. Means in 1995 delimitation occurred, because when recommendations were given, only then delimitation happened. And delimitation always takes place as per a certain census, because that has to be taken by taking care of the population, because they have to divide the area with respect to population, so they must be taking out some threshold population, some basic population, and for this they take various censuses of different decades, and here in 1995 or 1981 census was taken as a benchmark to decide. Since then there has been no delimitation. Means 2 times delimitations has occurred in J&K. First time it was carried out in 1951 by Delimitation Committee, but by Delimitation Commission it was being done in 1995, and from that time no delimitation happened. But in 2020 Delimitation Commission was again constituted to carry out the exercise, but this time they are carrying out the exercise on the basis of 2011 census. This can be asked in the examination. And what they want to do, they want to add 7 more seats to the UT and grant reservation to SCs and STs. And now this can also be asked in the examination, that what is the current status? Earlier there were 25. The current status was 87 constituencies were there as per this 1995 delimitation, but now 7 are to be added, means they have been raised to 90 now, and 24 more seats are there, but they are reserved for the area of POK. Means apart from these 90, 24 more are there reserved for POK, and they are actually being kept as vacant in the assembly. They are considered, because it is a diplomatic move to keep POK with it, means with J&K. That's why they are kept as vacant, to show that India is not going to leave this area. It is disputed area. Now we must also be knowing about the composition. The Delimitation Commission is having three members. One is the retired or serving judge of Supreme Court, SC, retired or serving judge of Supreme Court, and he is the chairman also. And then there is the Chief Election Commissioner, or the Election Commissioner nominated by him, CEC, Chief Election Commissioner, and State Election Commissioner is there. This is Chief Election Commissioner, this is State Election Commissioner, and the chairman is retired or the serving judge of Supreme Court. This is the Delimitation Commission, and it is as per the Delimitation Commission Act 2002. Now you must be having an idea that why their decision cannot be challenged in court of law, because they themselves are a part of judiciary and also an independent body, which is Election Commission. And a State Election Commissioner will be the ex officio member. Ex officio means apart from the office which he or she is holding, they will be having or holding a certain office in some other body. Here State Election Commissioner is having its own office, right? But it will also be holding a position here in this Delimitation Commission. So in a way it is already having an office, and it will also be having this office in addition. So he or she is the ex officio member. This is the meaning of ex officio. Now with this we completed this polity section. There were 4 important news here. Now let's move on to our GS3 section, and here let's take up the economy first. The first news is with respect to Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs, CBIC. CBIC has inaugurated the online filling of authorized economic operators, and this is a program which is under the World Custom Organization's safe framework of standards. Means this is World Custom Organization, it is having this program which is known as safe framework of standards, and under this program of this WCO there is the program of this AEO, means authorized economic operator. And the Central Board of Indirect Tax and Custom has inaugurated the online filling of this, means it has given assent to this program of WCO, which is under another program that is known as safe framework. Now what is its main purpose? AEO, authorized economic operator, its main purpose is to secure and facilitate global trade. How this will be done? This will be done by a mechanism which will be voluntary in nature. I will tell you what this thing is, but first let's understand how this thing is going to work. Say there are certain rules and regulations in the international trade. In international trade there are certain security standards and rules. These are actually the rules which we have to follow. These are actually the standards which we have to follow. If any trader who wants to engage in international trade and that trader is compliant with the supply chain security standards, means the standards of this framework, that trader who is trading in international trade, and that trader is actually complying with the supply chain security standards of this safe framework, then he will be accorded AEO status, right? This is the program. This is AEO program. Means a person who wants to do international trade, if he or she is complying with their standards, their security standards, then it will be provided with this AEO status. Now the benefits of AEO status are that there will be more quick clearance time, fewer examinations, and improved security communication between the supply chain partners. Means when say there is the loading of ships, unloading and loading of ships, and checking at various places, but there one will be having fewer and less examination and less formalities to be done, and there will be expedited clearance, means fast and quick clearance, that will lead to more more improvement in the business, as clearance is one of the hindrances, means these custom clearances one of the hindrances in doing the business in India and also at various places in the world. So this thing will be done because it will be assumed that this trader is already complying with the security standard. So it is not that much important to check all of its aspects. You can have just a quick examination and you can go, because you are already an approved agency who has been accorded AEO status. Now it is a voluntary compliance program. Voluntary compliance means that you are yourself telling, or you are yourself proclaiming that we have complied with all the safety standards, and you can be checked anytime. That time, if you have declared that you have complied with, and if you are found to be guilty, then there is punishment for that. Your license may be cancelled or something like that. But it is a voluntary compliance program, which is telling you that you yourself proclaim, you yourself declare that you are complying with the things, and then you are actually allowing others for any time checkup kind of thing, that anytime you can be checked, and you will be responsible because you have declared such and such thing. So this is important. This will give impetus to the trade and ease of doing business. And let's take a look at the SAFE program. In June 2005, WCO adapted this framework to secure and facilitate global trade, and it will also act as a deterrent to international terrorism, secure revenue collection, and promote trade facilitation worldwide. So this is simple. Now let's take up another news which is related to Agriculture Investment Fund. This was in news in budget this year also, and some people thought that maybe this is something new, some new fund is being created. Actually, it is an old fund, just few new provisions were added to it. What can be asked in the examination is this thing: it is a medium and long term debt financing facility. It is not a short term kind of facility. Means what will happen that for medium or for long term, say 20 years, 30 years, it's not exactly 20 years or 30 years, just I'm saying that for long term, what will be given, that say this is this fund, and you want to create an infrastructure you will be provided money from this fund for long term, and it is a debt instrument, means you have to pay it back, but it will be given first of all for long term or medium term, not for short term, and it will be given for agriculture purposes and for infrastructure purposes. Means you are creating an infrastructure, that should be an infrastructure which is related to agriculture, and it's not like any person will get this debt financing facility. We will come to that point also, that who is eligible for this, and actually the news is about that thing only, that a few agencies are being included in this. That's why this fund was in news. So let's first take what this fund is about. Like I told you that it is an investment fund for the agriculture infrastructure, and it is a debt facility for medium and long term, and most important thing is that it is for post harvest management and community farming assets. What does this mean? This means that after harvesting, say there is this cold storage facility development, there is this transportation development. For that kind of infrastructure you will be given fund. And for community farming assets means various farmers, they are coming together, and like farmer producer organizations are there. Here they are, farmer producer organizations. Various farmers are just aggregating, and they are aggregating into an organization which is known as FPO, and they are creating community assets which are important for farming, say for some irrigation purpose, for some marketing purpose, for that thing, and for the post harvest management like cold storage facility, etc. For these things fund will be given through interest subvention scheme and the credit guarantee. What this thing is, these are important things which can be asked. What this interest subvention is. 1 minute. Right, say there is a project and its viability is not there, means a project is there and it is expected that it will provide you this much of profit, but actually in the real terms the expectations are actually very high, but the reality is that it will only provide you this much of profit. Means it is lower than expected. This is expected, but this is the reality. So there is this gap in the viability of this project. Means you will develop the project, but its viability is very less. Means maybe it will not work up to that extent that it will provide you the expected kind of returns. So this thing is actually being sensed by the investor quite early, and this way the investor will not be investing in such projects where there is viability gap. Means you have created a project, but the viability of that project in giving the returns is quite less than the expected. So what government will do, government will take care of this gap. Government will say that okay, you create this project, and whatever will be the gap between the expected and the real returns, that will be funded by the government. This is viability gap funding. So now if government is taking the responsibility, now any investor will be interested in this way. This is a kind of kind of, you can say, technique by which investors can be plunged in the projects which are not that much viable, or where there is more risk. And this is one thing. Another thing is credit guarantee. Means when you go to bank, the bank may not give you credit because you are not having collateral, or you are not having enough things for to collate. So what will happen? Government will come and government will give guarantee on your behalf that okay, if this person is not able to pay back in future, then government will bear all the loss which will be there in such kind of credit facility. So agriculture investment fund is a medium and long term debt financing for post harvest management infrastructure and community farming assets through interest subvention and credit guarantee. That there will be credit guarantee and there will be interest subvention. Like I said, interest subvention is having one of the aspects of viability gap funding, and also interest subvention is also having one important aspect which I forgot. That is, say one bought a loan of say 100 rupees at the rate of 7%. What government will do, that government will encourage getting a loan for a certain purpose. Say government will encourage people that you get the loan from this fund, and what will happen, that we will give you kind of subsidy on the interest. That if you are getting loan from this fund, and if you are using this loan for the purpose for which this loan is to be meant, then you do not have to pay the 7%, you just have to pay say 4%, and the remaining 3%, that risk will be bore by the government itself. In interest subvention, the banks are not actually giving you loan at a cheaper rate, but the bank, say this fund, this infrastructure, this agriculture infrastructure fund, this will be managed by a bank, and that bank will be giving you loan at 4%. But that bank is not actually giving you the loan at 4%, that is only giving you the loan at 7%. But this gap of 3%, that will be filled by government. This is the concept. So it is having two concepts. One is viability gap funding, and another is this credit. Your interest rate will be lowered, and for certain kinds of credit facilities, so that that motto of the government is actually achieved, means that keeps on flourishing. Otherwise people won't be interested in such things. And one important thing which can be asked in the exam is that it is managed, it will be managed and monitored, means this agriculture infrastructure fund, this will be managed and monitored through online management information system, through MIS platform. Then the power has been delegated to Minister of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare to make necessary changes with regard to addition or deletion of beneficiaries, means who will get the fund and who will not get the benefit of this fund. And the period of financial facility has been extended from 4 to 6 years up to 25 to 2025 to 26, and the overall scheme has been extended from 10 to 13 years up to 2032 to 33, means 10 to 13 years, means it is like I told you, that is a medium and long term debt financing facility. That means it's a kind of credit, you have to give it back, but you will be given incentives in the form of low interest rates through this interest subvention scheme, and you will also get credit guarantee. And if there is any viability gap, that will be funded by the government. And now who all are the eligibles? These are the eligible ones: farmers, marketing cooperatives, societies, joint liability groups, multi-purpose cooperatives, startups, central and state agencies, local sponsored public-private partnership projects. And this eligibility has been extended to state APMCs and National and State Federation of Cooperatives, FPOs, and Federation of Self-Help Groups. These are important. These can be asked, that who are the beneficiaries. So this topic is very, very, very much important. Now let's come to next topic, which is SPARSH, System for Pension Administration. You just need to know that it is an integrated system for the sanction of defense pension, just this thing, and it comes under Ministry of Defense, nothing more than this. Then let's come to India Industrial Land Bank. It is a bank, but it is not that bank which will give you money. It's a kind of, say, data bank is there. It is an online portal where record of industrial land will be there, and it will be GIS based portal. And what it will do, it will be having all the information related to industrial infrastructure, such as connectivity of an area, infrastructure, natural resources, terrain, and the information on vacant plots and contact details, etc., so that it will help in quick decision making for an investor, that where he or she has to invest, and that too remotely, means through this online system he or she may get all the information and decide as per that information, that where he or she has to invest the money. So with this we completed the economy part in GS3. Now let's come to small agriculture part. Here Bhumi Panduga is something which we must remember. These are the celebrations marking the beginning of the farm operations every year, and it is being celebrated by Koya tribe of Andhra Pradesh. For men, hunting is mandatory as part of festival. So here what can be asked? Bhumi Panduga is related to which tribe? This can be asked. State can be asked, and its main central theme, like farming year, beginning of the farming year. This is important. And in which festival hunting is mandatory for men? Some match the following kind of thing can be there. Now let's come to science and tech section. In science and tech section, first news is related to white flag campaign in Malaysia. What is happening in this campaign? First, we must be knowing that it is also known as Bendera Putih campaign. It is happening in Malaysia. It has started in Malaysia, and in this campaign what people are doing, that people are tying white flags outside their homes or outside their residences to show that they are in need of help or assistance. And it is actually means what kind of help they are in need of. People have been badly hit by the COVID-19 lockdowns everywhere, and this is actually related to COVID-19, that some people may be needing assistance with respect to, say, maybe medicines, maybe some financial assistance, maybe some food grains, and this and in that way people are giving signal in the form of white flag. So this white flag campaign is related to the people who are in distress due to COVID-19 and they need help. This thing can be asked, that white flag campaign is related to what thing. Now let's come to again the COVID-19, this HOEC, which we have faced now, I think since it has been 2 years now. We are facing this. Is the second year consecutively. New variants have been there, like alpha variant was there, delta variant was there. Now kappa and lambda variants have been reported, and they have been reported as variants of interest. This can be asked, that which are the variants of interest. These are kappa and lambda. Now we must be knowing what is a variant of interest. A variant of interest is that variant where we have noted some genetic changes, and we are predicting on the basis of those genetic mutations and changes, we are predicting that its transmissibility will increase, its disease severity will increase, its immune escape response will increase, and also this strain or this variant has now been separate in the community. It has in a way being transmitted in the community in multiple countries or in multiple populations, and this is predicted, or this is expected to create the worst situation, but it is just expected. There is no such kind of evidence. It is just the expectation. But one thing is clear, that this variant has already transmitted in the population, and now it is expected that it will show its effect. But then there is another term, which is variant of concern. A variant of concern is a variant where there is evidence of increased transmissibility, severity. Here there was just prediction. Here there is evidence, means that's why this is a variant of concern, and this is a variant of interest, means they are interested to see what will happen, and here they are concerned that something has happened and they need to get alert now. So also there will be significant reduction in neutralization by antibodies, means the antibodies which have been generated by the immune response, that will have less impact. Also the vaccination, that will have reduced effectiveness. So these terms should be carefully used, and they should be known, and kappa and lambda are variants of interest, not variants of concern as of now. Now let's come to next news, which is bhalia wheat. We just should be knowing that it is a geographical indicator from Gujarat, just this thing. Then khadi prakriti is the India's first paint made from cow dung. This can be asked, that khadi prakriti is related to, and it comes under the Ministry of MSME, this khadi, and I think only this thing is important, and if asked in mains, which is very less, I mean there is very less probability, but this point can be used, that this paint has been launched with twin objective of increasing farmers' income and creating self-employment across the country. Now let's come to another news, which is ASF. ASF means African swine fever. African swine fever. It is a highly contagious and fatal animal disease. It is restricted to animals, and as you can see here, the virus is not transmissible to humans, means it is not zoonotic. Zoonotic are those diseases which are transmissible from animals to humans, and usually these things are asked in the examination, that is this disease zoonotic or not. Some of the options may be like that also. So it is a contagious, means it is a communicable disease, and it means it will spread from one animal to another, but it is not zoonotic, so it will not impact any humans. And it was first detected in Africa in 1920. That's why its name is African swine fever. It is related to swine, and it is causing hemorrhagic fever. Hemorrhage means internal bleeding, and that is causing fever. Now first let's see how it spreads. These are some of the pathways. Say through contaminated things like clothes, shoes, knives, etc. If these things are contaminated, then the animal may get infected. Then through food and feeds, then through biological vectors like ticks, and through the contacts also, through means through direct contact. They may be living together, and due to the close vicinity this can happen. And also exposure to carcasses, means the carcass is the dead body. If fluid or blood is coming in connection or in contact. Its symptoms are high fever, like I told that it is having fever but hemorrhagic, so that's why we are finding this reddishness of skin. It is hemorrhagic, internal bleeding is there. Then along with this there is vomiting and diarrhea, etc. And these are the most hit countries: Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, North Korea, Mongolia. And the news was there because it is also hitting India now. Now let's come to our next part, which is Cassini mission. It was launched in 1997, and this is the mission of NASA, European Space Agency, and Italian Space Agency. This is important. This can be asked that this mission is related to all the three or only NASA. This is important with respect to KS examination. These things are usually asked there. And NASA's this Cassini spacecraft has made recent discoveries. And one more thing which can be asked is that it is related to Saturn, means their mission is related to Saturn. They are having research on the moons of Saturn, and they have found methane there in the atmosphere of the Saturn. So this much information is enough. Now let's come to WHO's emergency use list. Emergency use list is the list of those drugs which are actually unlicensed, but they are actually needed urgently, because they are for say the pandemic or some other thing. We will take care of the conditions as well, but the basic crux is that they are for emergency use, and they are for unlicensed vaccines and therapeutics. Means there is a risk-based assessment is being done for all the, those unlicensed therapeutics or medicines which are required in urgency. Their risk-based assessment will be done, and then their listing will be done, although they are unlicensed, but as they are being needed in emergency. So their basic risk assessment will be done, then their listing will be done, although they will remain unlicensed, but they can be given a yes or they can be given approval for the use, so that they are expecting the control over some pandemic or over some emergency, so that there is expedition of the improvement. And let's see what are the eligibility criteria for a drug to be there in this emergency use list, which is related to WHO. This can be asked that EUL, emergency use list, is related to what? WHO, UNICEF, or WTO, anything. The first condition is that the disease for which the product is intended is serious or immediately life-threatening, and it has the potential for causing an outbreak, epidemic, pandemic. This is the second thing. And third is that it is reasonable to consider the product for an EUL assessment, means there is no licensed product already available for that disease, and it is also needed urgently, means it can result in epidemic, and also it is for the serious and life-threatening disease or condition like COVID-19 is there. So these three conditions are there. First, life-threatening. Second, needed urgently, it can result in epidemic, means that disease. And third, there are no licensed products available, so you have to use these things in urgency. And till now, existing products, or we can say vaccines, they have not been successful in completely eradicating the disease or preventing the outbreaks. Means all the products which have been used under this emergency use list. Now let's come to our last section, which is that of environment. And first topic is related to Forest Rights Act. First thing which must be remembered is that it was enacted in 2006 and it came into effect in 2008, and it is being enacted for two main reasons. First is that it is there for giving the forest rights or the various rights to forest dwellers, and also to the villages to manage the forest, means for forest dwellers to collect minor forest products and other things, and also to the villages nearby to manage the forests. And that's why we will be taking care of section 2 of this act, which can be asked. And first let's take this thing that individual forest rights can be given to any person belonging to a scheduled tribe who can claim the right to live in or cultivate up to 4 hectares. Means this point is important, that as per this act 4 hectares of the land can be given as individual rights, and for community the village nearby, the Gram Sabha of that village, that can be given the rights to collect minor forest produce and the right to graze, means right for grazing, and also for using other community resources. So this was the basic overview which can be asked in the examination, means this date, enactment, and this 4 acres of land, and for individual rights, also for community forest rights. Now let's take this thing deeply, that first let's go to section 2C of this Forest Rights Act. It is therefore forest dwelling scheduled tribes, and also for the recognition of the eligible people or the eligible tribes who are other than forest dwellers, right? So let's first take these forest dwelling scheduled tribes. They must be scheduled tribe in the area where right is claimed. This is important. It means that any scheduled tribe cannot claim rights of the forest dwellers in any other area. Then they should primarily have resided in forests, in those forests prior to 13th December 2005, means till that or before that, and it depends on the forest or forest land for the bona fide lively needs, means it depends on the kind of forest or forest land, that what kinds of livelihood rights and needs they will be there, they will be granted. So these three conditions are there. Then to qualify other traditional forest dwellers, OTFD, these were forest dwelling scheduled tribes. Now for other traditional forest dwellers, first is that they should have primarily resided in the forest for the 3 generations, means 75 years prior to 13/12/2005. Here the condition was not of 3 generations because they were already residing there, and they were actually getting the rights of forest dwellers there. They were not some other community, means these people have lived here from from the earlier times, but here at least they must be living from 75 years, and it will also depend on the forest type, that what kind of benefits they are getting. So these things can be asked in the prelims examination, that as per FRA, what are the provisions to give recognition to forest dwellers or other traditional forest dwellers. Then let's come to next news, which is a report that is titled "A Future for All: The Need for Human Wildlife Coexistence." This has been recently released by Worldwide Fund for Nature, WWF, and the UN Environment Program, UNEP. This can be asked that this report is released by whom? So it is jointly released by these two, WWF and UNEP. And this report is, as the name suggests, that it is related to the coexistence of the human and wildlife, because we have seen various conflicts between human and wildlife due to the destruction of the habitat. So this is a future for all, means for humans as well and for the animals, that we need to live in coexistence. We need to remove, or we need to have minimum of the conflict between the wildlife and the humans, so that we can conserve the environment and also the homeostasis of the nature. And for this, Sonitpur model is very important. Means Sonitpur model, it can be asked that this Sonitpur model is related to what thing? So it is related to human and wildlife conflict. In Sonitpur district of Assam, destruction of forests had forced elephants to raid crops, in turn causing death of both elephants and humans. In response, WWF India had developed the Sonitpur model during 2003 and 4, by which community members were connected with state forest department. They were given training on how to drive the elephants away from the croplands safely. This thing is important, so that there is no harm to both elephants as well as humans. So this was the end of environment section as well. The video has already been quite long, but the content was also quite large in this week, and I think 1.5 hour or 1 hour is not that much if we are considering the current affair of whole week, when people are actually making 1 hour videos for each day of the current affair and putting on all the unnecessary stuff also there, just filling up their pages, which is also not required. And when you have to be doing everything which is out there, then it becomes impossible for you to revise that well within time, because within a week or 10 days, it will be a pile up of huge current affairs, and that too which is not relevant, and that too which you don't know how to handle, how to revise, and how to use that in your mains examination and also in your prelims examination, how it will be asked. So this is a smart approach and smart way. Now let's come to the main special thing. Now, role of NGOs. This thing can be used, this data can be used in the questions wherever there has been the question of NGOs, or there can be the question of NGOs, their role and their achievements. This data can be used, and we will continue with the same data in the next video. Let's take first thing that NGOs have played their role where state resources have been inadequate. Like two main areas are education and healthcare, where government is not having enough government run schools and hospitals in rural areas especially, and even if they are present, they are not having the much resources, or they are not utilizing the resources. So here one NGO which is known as Kerala Sastra Sahitya Parishad, this is an important NGO which can be quoted. It has done very well, it has done wonders in the field of this education, and it is largely credited for the 100% literacy rate of Kerala. It is having its contribution in that. And role of NGO is also there in fighting the social evils, like there had been the ban on the sex determination of fetus. That was also a result of the efforts of NGO. And right to information, the RTI Act which we have today, that is also due to the effort of an NGO that it became reality in India. Then right to shelter, NGOs such as Yuva and Spark SPRC in cities like Mumbai have repeatedly opposed the demolition of hutments, even as they try to improve the quality of life in the sprawling slum clusters. So they are doing both the things. They are preventing the demolition of those slums, and also they are trying to improve their life. So role of NGOs is quite immense and very much important there in the democracy, in raising the voice of the unheard people. So with this we come to an end to our weekly current affairs. Please do like, share and subscribe, so that this content may reach to other people as well, and everyone will get benefited from this. And we will keep on improvising and giving you more of such good quality content. If you have any doubts, then please tell us in the comments, and also please participate in the quiz and paste your score in the comment box, and also check your own performance, as the questions are of such nature which can be asked in the UPSC and also in the state PCS examinations. So thank you.